Now, executing a spray in ECL watch is probably the most commonly used for its ease of use. To execute a spray or despray operation using ECL watch, first, select the required file from the DFU logical file list. Number 2, select the operation you want to execute, either spray or despray, whether we want to rename, copy, etc. And then you just simply complete the form that's supplied based on the operation that you want to execute. That includes the IP address where the files are located, the destination Thor cluster, the name of the file that you're going to spray, and a variety of other options. And you can monitor the progress of the spray operation using the ECL watch. Let me show you how easy it is to spray a file to a target Thor cluster. First of all, we want to load our ECL watch, and the ECL watch is always loaded by the IP address of the cluster followed by a default 8010 port. Although if you're using secured socket layer, that would be using a 18010 port. Alright, so again, that port can be configured, but normally that's the case, the 8010 port. Once you have attached and connected to the ECL watch, note that on the left side we have our navigation pane, and we have, again, under the DFU files section, the ability to spray fixed, spray delimited, or spray XML. I'm going to select spray fixed just for this short spray example. And note then we have the machine and the drop zone shown, the IP address of the cluster, and the first thing that I'm going to be required to do is to tell the spray operation what file I'm going to be copying from the drop zone to the target cluster. So I'm going to use the convenient Choose File button, which is going to give me a bird's eye view of the landing zone that's attached to my cluster. So as you can see here, I've got a number of different files. I'm going to scroll down and just select a persons file, and notice my cursor then changes to a select cursor, and then I'm going to press the select button, and the file name is now appropriately placed in the local path entry. For a fixed length spray, I need to know the record length. And again, this is a dumb operation, meaning that it's simply going to take the size of my file in the landing zone divided by the record length, and if it's evenly divisible, it will spray. If it is not evenly divisible, it will not spray. And so as you can see, we have the record length added, 155. Our destination is the root folder of our Thor cluster. As you can see here, there's also the ability to spray to HThor if needed, but again, the default is always Thor. Our label, I'm just going to type in some syntax here that I normally use in my training classes. This is a class folder and my initials, followed by maybe the name of the class, followed by the name of the file, which is persons. The double colon is nomenclature that we use in the sprayed cluster. And it's important that you do a double colon. A single colon will generate a spray error as an invalid file name. Now I know this file's out on my cluster already. I'm going to click on the override options. Replication automatically. No split means that we're going to just spray on one node of the cluster. This is good for small files, and you also have a compression option. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and spray my persons file to the cluster. And then notice in the ECL watch we have the DFU work unit details. If I click on this view progress, notice that right now it's taking some time to connect to the cluster because I'm at a remote location. And as soon as it connects, then it will do a very quick spray and overwrite, and we'll see our results. Okay, as you can see, we've now finished our spray. You can also go out to the link that's shown here, the Browse Logical Files link, which will then show me all of the files on the cluster, and I can then validate and verify that my file has been sprayed correctly. And we'll just zoom in. I'll show you we have there's our file, class BMF intro persons. And the date, 3/27, matches the date on my computer. So everything looks great. Now also you'll notice that there is a context button that's a gray, kind of a gray down arrow button that's to the left of each file. And notice that you'll have other options available there through this context menu. So I can look at the file's details, I can copy the file, I can rename the file, I can view a data file, replicate a file, and finally Despray. And that's the one I want to choose right now. I'm going to choose the Despray options. And I'm just going to say the name of the file and then my initials. And see how simple this is. This is the Despray option. I can then specify a number of different options here, but accepting the defaults and just hitting the submit button, it will now copy this file back to my landing zone. And my landing zone is shown here through this upload download file option. And if I click on it, you'll see that my file persons has been desprayed properly with my initials BF that's on there. Okay, so that's the cycle of moving data to the cluster and on the cluster back out to your target landing zone.